Welcome back. Well, yes, indeed, Mr. Michael Mary, former DG National Orientation Agency, joins us next here. Good morning, and thank you for coming on today.
Thank you for inviting me. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you as well. That statement from the Minister of Information, when listening to that now, you think, okay, this is the kind of narratives, the way Nigerians would love to see things. But we know when it comes to elections, these kind of things, that's not what we see play out from politicians. So ideally, that's an ideal situation, which he said, that is the thinking, perhaps, of the president at the moment. But there are several things just running through several people's minds listening to that one. Lovely to hear him say that kind of thing. But you, having led national orientation, that's part of what we're going to talk about largely here today. For him saying, there's no north, there's no south, there's supposed to see each other as one. In terms of the practical realities, I mean, we keep reminding ourselves, I think it was Mr. Alder who also suggested that, for instance, if you look at different regions and call them economic zones, the strength of those regions, you could call this different zones, different economy could thrive in those areas. That would be a lovely way to start. But having listened to him in terms of what he wants to do, you've been there. You know the challenges of that office and the citizens of Nigeria, how they received your message when you tried. What would you suggest we do moving forward in light of the minister's comment there?
So first and foremost, Chamberlain, this is a good mindset to come into office with, in setting agenda for national orientation for this country. And I want to commend the president, even though I'm not in his party. But I want to commend him for restoring national orientation to that level that it should be. The previous government spent so much time trying to denigrate and destroy that agency. It was not Ministry of Information and National Orientation. It was reduced to a department or a unit in the Ministry of Information. It was never even, in the first instance, contemplated to be in the Ministry of Information. So when it was aggregated into that ministry and reduced to that level, it couldn't discharge it.
What was the structure when you served?
It was in the Ministry of Culture, Tourism, and National Orientation. And even at that time, we were advocating that it should be done into a commission, proper structure under the presidency, so that it can have more powers, more access, and therefore able to discharge functions specified for it in its mandate and the Constitution. So it's a good mindset for the minister, and I hope he will work with it. In Nigeria, we are not in short supply of the indices or things that will make us come together as one. There are so many of them. But we do neglect them for personal interest and for politics most of the time. Because when we fail in this other area, we fail in the other area, we now grab the issue of region and religion. And largely because majority of our population are illiterate, so they fall for it. So they are not arguing, the populace are not arguing, indeed they are not even interested in the things or in discussing with them, partnering with them, discussing to partner with them in matters of development. They are rather comfortable with this issue of religion and region and tribe and all that things that make development uncomfortable to achieve.
What challenges will the ministry face if they are to achieve this?
Well, essentially, the ministry has a lot of work to do based on our experience. They should work a lot with traditional. First and foremost, let us look at the values we have in our constitution. I think chapter 2 or so, section 23 or thereabout of the constitution provided what our national values and ethics should be. I think we have outlived those, or they are not relevant anymore. Reshape them. Let us talk about what the minister said as part of our values, our Nigerianness. One, our heritage and environment should be valued. If we look at some of these and redefine the values that are in our constitution and pursue it, make sure that it's taught in every space, I think we'll get somewhere. It is not enough that we'll come with a mantra to, like they say, renewed hope. Who knows about it? Only the members of the party, of the president's party, know about what renewed hope is. Why can't we make it a national issue? Why can't we sensitize people and say these are the values associated with this renewed hope mandate, and this is what is expected of each individual to do. This is what is expected of government. So government have expectations, citizens have expectations, and then we meet somewhere to gauge our performance and progress. If we don't have it, every administration will come with one new mantra or the other, and we'll just be dancing along in the same cycle.
Mr. Mary, the matter of values that you've talked about, again, going from what the minister was saying, we need to remove this region. I'm not from the north, no north, no south, no east, no west. We're Nigerian. Would it be that easy, considering that practically all our data gathering platforms have that thing of state of origin, religion? Can we begin to do this without changing the other part?
Well, there are so many, I have seen many examples that also have those kind of things, not in Nigeria. But they are doing that for the purpose of planning, simply because they have been able to promote national pride, the American, Canadian, and so forth. And so it's not as if they don't have their differences or different languages and groups and even some not belonging to any religion. But here, in our constitution, one of the values is religious tolerance. Why should we talk about religious tolerance when it should be a personal thing, a very private thing? Why should we even put in our constitution?
That's religion?
Yes. Religious tolerance is an ethic, is something there, it's in the constitution.
You suggest we should scrap it?
It should not be there. These are personal things. Let the issue of religious tolerance be left with the religious institutions. Otherwise, and then you put religious tolerance, clearly in the minds of people is Christianity and Islam. What about traditional religion? What about others?
How does that even tie into the fact that Nigeria is supposed to be a secular state?
Exactly. That is why I say let us look at the 7 values in the Constitution, or the ethics values in the Constitution, and redefine them. Times have changed.
Let's step back a bit.
Yes.
What's in the Constitution, what is in our national anthem, for instance? Service, love, strength, unity, and faith. These are some of the values you get from our national anthem and the pledge. And we sing that every time and say it every time.
That is the contradiction. The law, you are calling these ones love, service, but the Constitution says integrity, discipline, religious tolerance. You check it. They are different. What I am saying, let's have an instrument of harmony so that we can talk to ourselves in the language that is common to all of us. It is easy to refine it. I should be more prouder in the Nigerian population than in my small ethnic group of Alago in Kiana. If I say I'm Alago, people don't even know. In Nasarawa there. So why? But if we are Nigerians, we have a common value. We need to protect that environment. We have a common heritage. These are the values. These are some of the things that should be.
Politicians appear to be the most guilty of this division, taking advantage of our fault lines when it comes to campaign, when they have to win elections. You see them bear their fangs in this area, and that causes a lot of division amongst the people. So, yes, it's good to say this, but many will also suggest, well, politicians should take this advice first and foremost. But how easy or difficult do you think it would be?
I agree with you, Chamberlain, with that. You see, through mass public education, it should be consistent, so that we remove these people, the voters, from the politicians and their antics. I have a lot of examples to give you. In Nasarawa State here, for instance, we have always lived, we didn't even know that this one is Muslim, that one is Christian, that one is, we were together. Everybody was voting, doing his thing. But suddenly, from nowhere in this period, we have seen the emergence of religion as a factor to decide who will rule Nasarawa or who will govern Nasarawa. And we have such examples nearly everywhere. So any politician, first and foremost, in this public education, we must let the citizens realize that any politician who starts talking about 1, 2, 3 things, reject him in the first place. Anyone that is really let us define our national goals and remove this issue of religion and issue of ethnicity from them. So anyone with those tendencies, we know that he's not coming to do the right thing. Because we have so many malams and pastors in governance, and yet the country is still in the mud. So anyone who wants to be malam or who wants to preach and propagate his religion, let it not come to government. Let him go to the institutions established for, start his own church or mosque or whatever he wants, or shrine.
Again, some of these things you talked about, they're considered personal traits that one needs to build for himself.
Correct.
But yet they're in the Constitution: discipline, integrity, dignity of labor, social justice, like the only thing that should be out there: social justice, religion, self-reliance, and patriotism.
Exactly.
So if you said we should do away with this, on what grounds can we begin to say, okay, we want to begin to pull things together?
Then we bring new sets of things that are binding, that can bind us more together. And I said, I gave you an example. I say our heritage and our environment, because you cannot have a heritage without environment. Okay, we should talk about our Nigerianness. Let us isolate all of these things together. For the purpose of planning, it doesn't matter if your state of origin and religion is there. For the purpose of planning, although you can actually remove religion from your forms. It doesn't matter. Plan for Nigerian, whatever he is, whether he's Sikh, deranged, or whatever. Plan for him. It does not matter whether he is a Christian or a Muslim. Why are you doing that? What importance is that to your planning?
All right, we'll take a look at some of these matters and probably get an update on how to move forward. That's when we return in a moment. Don't go away. All right, welcome back. Let's bring in our colleagues in Lagos.
Yes, thank you, Chamberlain. Mr. Mary, it appears as if you're suggesting the kick-starting of another national conversation such that those values can be rethought and reproduced. If that is the case, how can, what role can your orientation agency play in starting it without, necessarily it being from a formal setting, especially from the local government level, because Nigerians are first from a community, from a local government, before they are from, they identify as being from a state or, at the national level.
Okay, thank you for that. First, even at the National Orientation Agency level, for instance, which is spread into the local government areas, we can ask for a collation of the things that the people of those communities consider as more valuable to them, not these ones that were imagined in, I don't know, maybe in Abuja or in Aso Rock. Now, if we get them together, definitely you will find, and it will not take you so much to know that today, what the average Nigerian wants is to see care, to see fairness, to see honesty in display by government and people outside government. And could this be our values? Can we operate within this environment? And these are part of our heritage, part of the environment we grew. Now we abandon them and brought issues like religious tolerance, like discipline, integrity. These are supposed to be personal values taught at home, shaped by the community generally. So let us step our game up, collate what the communities have. Definitely you find these principles, proven principles that shape governance, societal governance. And then you take them out to the public, you engage every social space, the media, the cultural industry, the music, and everyone. Sit down with the Movie Producers Association of Nigeria. Sit down with the musicians in Nigeria. Let us see this kind of cultural engagement penetrate our fabric. You will see that the messaging will be tuned towards promoting Nigeria and our Nigerianness. We don't want to see music. You wouldn't want to see Nigerian musicians singing Nigeria Jaga Jaga. Let us see let us hear music that is uniting, that is promoting the values of this country. It's happened. People in Jamaica are singing Jamaican songs and promoting their country, America, everywhere. What is wrong with us? simply because we are not engaging the right people to do the right things. So the minister, following from what he has just said, has a lot to do to take this message beyond his seat and the four corners of his office. He should work with the National Orientation Agency to infuse this thinking of government into the very structure of our of the nation.
What limitations?
Then let's begin to eliminate all those issues. Like I said, when you want to fill form, they ask you your religion. That is not important, because you're not planning for religion, you're planning for the human being. State of origin, remove that one. Put in state of residence. You know that this number of people are residing in this part of this, so you plan for them. That is what we need to see, not to be upholding the things that we have tried over almost 60-something years. It has failed us. We want to continue. No. We should have a new direction, please.
What limitations do you think that government bureaucracy can serve as an impediment against the success of what you're proposing? That's on the one hand. On the other hand, how can it be enduring such that even if it is achieved, it will be insulated from the politics of the electioneering cycles of every 4 years?
A responsible government elected by the people who structure that has found itself into government in Nigeria and wants to effect a change and bring renewed hope to the citizens should fund, that is the bureaucracy, fund this idea. That is one. It should accept it and fund it. Secondly, it should remove, although the minister is talking, like I said, it's a good mindset. Can you please turn the agency into a commission and give it these marching orders and have certain basic criteria outlined that it will be judged and assessed? So if we are able to do this, because now the bureaucracy is that you go from agency to minister to budget to president, and so forth and so on. Meanwhile, I know that when I was there were certain executive decisions and actions that needed direct communication between the president and the agency, and we used to get that and discharge it. Now, if you are to have that kind of direct communication from the president or the presidency that is coming, not even routed through your ministry, it may even create some conflict with the minister. So let us accept that, look, we have a national, because no development can even go successfully and become enduring if you don't have the people supporting it as the base. Now, about sustainability, once this thing is imbibed, you don't need to keep repeating it, because the people themselves will repeat it in their interactions with people, in their involvement with governance, in the ideas they generate, in the energy they put into doing things, all towards the good, each and every one of us, and for the progress of our nation. It can happen. Because it's been done elsewhere. Why can't it be done here?
That is the expectation. One more thing. Education is at the heart of the success of, our national values. And also from the Minister of Education, he's saying that the federal government is ready to commit 25% of national budget to education. How optimistic are you that that will be a reality in the light of what budgets have been like in the past? And what do we make of it? Particularly also because the minister has said that the federal government is ready to grant autonomy to the tertiary institutions at the federal level.
Let me tell you one thing. Nigeria has always committed more than 25% of its budget to education. How, you would say? In the state, all the 36 states commit some resources. The federal government commits some resources. Put it together, is more than 25%. It is the attitude at implementation and the greed associated with the activities of those charged with the responsibility of administering these resources that is fretting the resources away and making our education look so terrible. If we can spend the money rightly to put our classrooms and provide the books and train teachers, what else do you need? These are the basics. These are the basics that a school needs. Just get the apparatus, teaching apparatus, get the teachers and the classroom.
Well,
so that the child will be happy to go there. And then you make the environment, in your teaching and orientation, let parents and everybody know that the pressure, the opportunity you are giving for education is not necessarily for them to come and work in government. It's for them to have the capacity to fend, to drive their lives, and then achieve the self-preservation that we are talking about.
So, Mary, I go back to
but
that.
We are training people for government.
Yeah. Well, I go back to that reference that you made to Section 23 of the Constitution on national ethics, which says discipline, integrity, dignity of labor, social justice, religious tolerance, self-reliance, and patriotism shall be the national ethics. You say that they are outdated. In what way? Aren't they relevant? They are not relevant anymore to us. Integrity is not relevant. Discipline is not relevant. Dignity of labor is not relevant. Help us understand what you mean.
These are concepts that can come out of the values of care, like the values of honesty, the values of, the values of love. These are variables that, because if you have love, if you are fair to your neighbor or your fellow compatriot, those concepts will play out. So what we are doing is we left the key concept and are talking about the variables of the concept as our national values.
So just to be clear,
we are doing religious tolerance without love.
So if you are going
we
to
are doing discipline without honesty.
Okay. All right. So if you're going to propose an adjustment to this section, what would you be proposing?
That is why he said, let us go back and look at what the values in the communities are. And these values today, what Nigerians, even if you read the papers, you listen to, people are talking about fairness and equity. People are talking about honesty. You win election, you didn't win election, you insist that you won the election. Where is the moral high ground? You put siren and you're jumping all over the place, insisting that you won an election that you know you clearly lost, and in your private concert, you tell people that you have lost, but you are going to challenge it in court and use technicalities. People know, so there is no sync between the conduct, action, and even the glory we celebrate, and the expectations of society. People should be people enough. They should be human enough that when you lose an election, admit that I have lost an election. Let me go and start something. Don't start looking for technicalities. Because where the law is there, you are still looking for another version of the law that is now called technical law. Oh my God.
Well,
so
on
essentially,
that, yes.
Go
ahead and land on that thought.
Yeah, so essentially, let us see this value of care, value of fairness, value of respecting our heritage and environment. Let the culturality of our ethics reflect in our conduct.
Well, in that, you say we should go back to our localities, our communities, which have their own specific cultures. And you also spoke about another culture that we have, a political culture of looking for something where there is not, hoping to find it based on technicalities. We had this conversation on Monday where our guest was telling us that one of the things that we lack is a culture that is unique or peculiar to us, especially in terms of leadership, of our leadership recruitment strategy. In fact, he made it clear, specifically he said, that culture will eat your strategy for lunch. So in terms of our culture, what have we lacked over time that has affected our progress, our development, our growth, our nationhood? What is it that we had that we seem to have lost in the various communities that we have, and how do you think we can bring those things back?
I was discussing with an elder statesman some time ago. He said in 1947, when they were discussing independence, he was a student law. And at one of the conferences, 1945 or something, he paid his way to go to Lancaster House or one of those chambers to go and sit down and be part of, and was writing notes and giving leaders from this country. Was not paid to do it. And we emerged as a nation that had some, level of cohesiveness at a point. It was about Nigeria. Then suddenly, circumstantial individualism propped itself up. And that is where you have people becoming greedy, people becoming self-centered, planning for self rather than community, and so forth and so on. These are the things that eroded that common culture of development that we had. We never used to see, I didn't know the difference, like I kept telling people, I didn't know the difference in religion until I came from Maiduguri to Jos. I didn't know the difference between Igbo, Yoruba, and all sorts of things, because I'm even a minority tribe. So I saw, first and foremost, a human being. Then later, as I'm growing now, I'm being, you'll be shortchanged, or you'll be identified, and isolated based on tribe, religion, and so forth and so on. Mundane things that have helped nobody so far.
Okay, let me ask this one question, Mr. Omeri. Given what the Minister of Information and National Orientation said, do you think we can achieve a national orientation of unity from what you know? And if you have doubts, let us know. If you think it is possible, what are the things that we must do, be it at the federal or state level, to ensure that we have a united front in terms of national orientation?
Begin by removing religious tolerance in your constitution and all aspects of religion. These are divisive things. Okay, let us not carry the things that are personal and private to statecraft. We see the gradual involvement of religious leaders in government. They even want to shape policies and direct. If they have ideas to give or suggestions to make, there should be channels of doing that. So they should be in the background. They should have channels of doing that. They should not come to the, you see, they will tell you the Sultan is going there, has put mouth in this matter. Christian Association has put mouth. What is their business with it?
Do you think we should continue with the quota system?
Quota system operates everywhere. There's nothing wrong with it. But you should have a quota system. Federal character, I meant.
Okay, not quota system.
Federal character. Yes. Because in quota system, you run the risk of leaving people out. In federal character, for the purpose of allaying the fears of other people, because there is no society that has monopoly of illiterates or ignorance. There's no society that has monopoly.
So we should do away with quota system but continue federal character?
Federal character is good.
But not quota system?
Not quota system.
How do we strengthen that? Because, I mean, you've seen several cases where people talk about even this federal character has been grossly violated in some areas.
Yes, it's again the attitude of the operators. The idea is not bad. It's the attitude of the operators. And so that is where the issue of punishment, appropriate punishment or adequate punishment comes in.
Well, as we wind down, I mean, you spoke last time about value system in the country. Now that the ministry is thinking about this, what would you advise whoever takes over, how they should approach the question of showing up our value system in the country?
They should look for our traditional rulers who must be sincere that they love this country as much as they love their community and their titles.
We'll have some insincere ones among them.
Well, because they don't want to talk about it. From my experience, when I said, let's talk about it, they refused to do so.
Why?
Is their reason. They thought, because, look, my own conclusion, many of our traditional rulers are promoting vices against values. Somebody steals money from wherever, comes and displays it anyhow in community, they gave him the best title in town. And they tell you that even if you are the senior person, if you are a senior person in the community, you don't have money, prepare to attend meeting as to pick chairs. Because the rich people who are coming with questionable wealth are the ones that will come and sit on the high table. Meanwhile, there are people that have demonstrated sufficient values in the communities, either as farmers, traders, or, in various forms, drummers and so forth. Nobody recognizes them.
But the speaker, I think I heard him say at some point that they intend to give constitutional roles to traditional rulers. Should he proceed with that, or should just forget about it in light of what you just said?
If you want, you can define it. If you want to give the traditional rulers constitutional role, let it be along the values that we are talking about. Let it not come from somewhere, some strange definition. Let us go back and find out what are the things that they need to do in the communities, where the things that they were doing before and they need to do, can still do now.
What would you
so
suggest?
That we don't have contradiction in governance.
What would you suggest?
Otherwise, you find the emir and the local government chairman fighting. So I suggest that we should do a system study, identify the things that traditional rulers can do or should do in communities, and what will be the role of other agents of government. So we don't have clashes. If not, believe me, you will see people, traditional rulers will remove their rope and exchange blows. Because they will come, and the fight will be just because they are trying to fight over resources.
All right, Mr. Michael Mary, former DG, National Orientation Agency, thank you for your time here today.
Thank you.
Let's see some messages coming through from you. Festus tweet says, pardon me, this is okay. It says, being a Nigerian citizen is already a constitutional role for everyone to report evil/crime wherever they see it. Constitution should not be amended for it. Rather, we need massive orientation in the country.
Well, the Festus Akimboewa is talking, says the Nigeria's economic performance has been disastrous for about 21 years, and the consequences are the 133 million Nigerians in multinational poverty, high unemployment, crashing value of our currency, high inflation, and incessant labor strikes. The solution to these problems is to focus on productivity. We must produce what we consume and consume what we produce. Now that the new CBN governor and members of his team have been confirmed, it must not be business as usual. Festus Akimboewa.
And this one is from Professor Imonoka Inakina. He says, State of the nation, the economic development and prosperity of Nigeria must evolve through and from the local and state economies to building a confederation with a viable and sustainable developed economy whose principles and policies are independent in building an entrepreneurial economy that is indigenous, and unleash the power of true conceptualization of an industrial and innovating economy in transforming an indigenous economic integration of a prosperous nation that would reduce poverty in Nigeria to forestall this perennial insecurity gulping huge chunk of our national budget. That's convoluted.
Olabode Ajibola, talking about palliatives, says quite a number of Nigerians are completely fuming right now with the way and manner the federal government is handling the issue of palliative. Indeed, a government that has a clear direction for her citizens by now, we should have been seeing some level of progress in the area of transportation, food, and health. But the reverse is the case. More importantly, many of us are never in support of the idea of palliative, and reasons being the fact that the lesson we learned from the COVID-19 experience have signified a red flag when it comes to distribution, just because of greed of our leaders. And it's quite unfortunate and embarrassing that the same government is coming up with the same fraudulent program to deceive us once again, rather than talking about the seamless way of proffering an everlasting solution to the hardship in the land by way of channeling the billions of naira to the appropriate program that will benefit Nigerians, every Nigerian across the federation.
Well, sounds interesting. I mean, the word everlasting solution stuck out there, but okay. Would be nice, wouldn't it, guys?
Yeah.
Well, that is the show today. We do thank you all for watching. We'll see you again tomorrow. I am Chamberlain, so have a very good day.
I'm Nat'l. Bye-bye.
Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for watching. I am Bukola Koka.
October 1 is Sunday. Wish Nigeria well. I am Akinde. Have a great day.